Welcome back. Lobo Project, episode 47. I am Mike Robertson along with Mike Taylor. Mike, as a parent, I am sure that you have heard of the Terrible Twos.
Yes.
I feel like we might have a case of the Terrible Twenties with this Love Boat project here.
Not good.
If you remember last season, a bad season got worse, and the two worst episodes at the end of the year were episode 21 and 23.
Yes.
Depending how you number these, I know I have this as episode 22. You have it as 24 because of the two-parters. But this last stretch here, I feel like we're on a streak where we've at least had a conversation if this is the worst episode.
We are.
That conversation will happen again later today. So
it is wild that if you think about, as episode placement within a season, like to me, I would think you'd want some stronger ones at the end. Like, don't crawl to the finish line, because how does that build interest going into the next season? But if they show reruns all summer, like, I guess it doesn't really matter. There's nothing else to watch.
So this is the thing with this type of show, this Fantasy Island, other shows like Hotel, like it's essentially an anthology show, right? I mean,
right.
The little bit of plot that sticks throughout the season really isn't impactful, and I don't think people who weren't watching it like we watch it would even pick up on some of it, right? Like, I don't think that Stacey Stubing throwaway reference early in season 2 was like, So
you make a good point, because there's TV shows that people watch where they say, well, I can just unplug my brain, right, and watch this show. Is this an unplug your brain and watch the show sort of show in 78, 79?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, cool. Here are stars from other shows playing other people, interacting. Sure. I mean, there are elements we haven't necessarily gotten. And again, it's hard for us because we're kind of taking it from a modern day look and all that stuff. Sure. But it's like, it would be cool if this star of my favorite show on ABC and the star of my favorite show on NBC or interact. You know what I mean? Like, there is something to that. It's kind of like what Hollywood Squares was always interesting, but I think the main difference is, because you're right. And you had said this last year when we kind of assumed that the end was going to be,
I thought it was going to be
better.
I thought there was a reasonable assumption to make.
I think the fact that this is more one-offs, they ultimately are one-off episodes for the most part. I don't think you get that ramp up, because you're right. Like, I rewatched Cheers a couple years ago, and it's like the first 3 or 4 episodes and the last 3 or 4 episodes were the big, like, all the Sam and Diane stuff that you really remember is in that first 3 or 4, last 3 or 4. And I think that's how most television
shows. I remember
work.
Friends was like that. You'd always have the build up.
Right.
It's interesting when you talk about, like, seeing different stars, celebrities, sort of on a new show. Do you think about shows that they had back then, like Circus of the Stars, right? Battle of the Network Stars. Like, people loved to see those people in a different element, but it was before like TMZ or anything. So that was like this weird inside / not inside look at. It's just wild to think that you have the ability to draw in all these guest stars, but then you kind of just limp to the end. The one
thing that I think I thought about the Love Boat before we started, way back when we were talking about doing this, that has been correct or has not really altered, is I think the concept is solid, right? Like, I do understand that having 5 or 6 different people randomly pop up, like, it makes sense in theory, and I think that still works. The execution is a different story.
It's a fresh slate each week. You have a new opportunity, or you have a few more swings at it each week. Just like you're saying, it's a great, and it's also a launching pad for promotion or other projects. Yeah. Maybe somebody sees you in a different light.
Now, has that led to the consistency problems and the continuity problems that we've talked about for 47 episodes? Probably.
Yeah.
But it also does. It also, for what we're complaining about now, which is they seem to just run out of gas here at the end.
Yeah.
It also allows you to your point, fresh slate is we have no next week could be the best episode we've ever seen. Right? It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna grind to a halt because I do think we could have these episodes that come out of nowhere be really good or be really bad, and they don't have really anything to do with each other, right? So,
well, it doesn't necessarily mean it also, like, the definition of bad is important. Like when we do say bad, or when I say bad, I'm not looking for Shakespeare, but I'm just looking for like pure entertainment value. Like, just make me giggle a little bit. Don't just put some thought, and in some of the, was it Families or whatever was the one from this week, or it was just maybe not that specific, but that type of storyline. We just see it so much. Like, it's just.
See, I think the thing that this
load
week,
this episode
I think
up
the
with
thing
just,
that this, this, and I swear we will introduce it at some point, but you can tell how excited we are to talk about it. I think with this point, I think what a hallmark that we have discovered and determined, and did go back to those two that I mentioned at the beginning, 21 and 23 from last year, is
awful.
There's bad, and there's lots of ways you can get to bad, but the worst bad is boring.
Absolutely.
And this one was boring and turned out to be really derivative of a previous episode that we've seen, at least in 2/3. And that's inexcusable. We're in season 2. You should not have to dip back into the well so hard.
I agree. And the thing is, too, is I feel like there has to be, maybe not comeuppance, but there has to be some sort of after action. I just felt like these storylines, there was no, like, none of it mattered because in the end, nothing really happened. Like, everything was just.
Yeah. You basically could have shown everybody Act 1 and asked them to guess Act 5, and we would have gotten there and we wouldn't have missed out on much of anything.
No, and we'd be wrapping up this episode at 7 minutes and 24 seconds, and that's
fantastic. All right. Well, as we've delayed so much, tonight we are here to talk about season 2, episode 22 or 24, depending on how you count the two parts. Ages of Man, Bo and Sam, and Families. This sucker aired originally on March 10th, 1979. The synopsis: Julie is attracted to an older man and being pursued by a teen with a crush. And that teen is barely a teen. He's 13. Bo and Sam break a ship's model meant for Meryl's anniversary gift and work to fix it. Diana and Jeff try to find common ground between their parents. So I think if you read the synopsis and didn't know everything, I really did think when I first read it way back when we were trying to like plot out guests and things like that, I really thought Bo and Sam were going to be children that broke a model. So,
that's a reasonable expectation. That's a reasonable. Well, because they gave him like little kids' names, like the. It's funny. So they gave Bobby Tryman a name, but then they have like these two workers that are just first name.
Yeah,
it's weird.
And we will discuss it. But Bo and Sam, that entire storyline, was something that I assume they sort of still do it in TV today, but probably not as much. This was a backdoor pilot for a sitcom that never happened because
absolutely
these guys got a ton of run, and as we will mention here in a few minutes, something we had never seen before. What else didn't we see? What else is on? Trust me, you're going to want to know.
Yeah.
On NBC, it's BJ and the Bear, kind of settling into that 9 p.m. slot at this point. And that show probably goes on for a couple years, right?
It's so easy. It's instead of highway patrolman, it's a truck driver and a chimpanzee named Bear. It writes itself, Mike. I mean,
it would be funny if they were just stealing old Chip scripts.
Oh God, they go undercover, but they're not really.
Paunch, you're the bear. You're the monkey this time. Nope. John, you're the monkey this time. So
John Baker, Chimp. Go ahead. Can I say something?
This episode was
did you
absolutely.
have a favorite in Chips out of the two?
You know what's funny? And I think this is the slight difference in our ages. I was aware of Chips, but I don't think I was a big Chips.
You didn't have the toys.
I know, because I think the difference is I was a big A-Team, and I think that 5-year gap between me and you is the 5-year gap kind of between Chips and A-Team.
Fair enough. I mean, I was a big A-Team guy as well.
Yeah. I was aware of Chips, but it was not the phenomenon, I don't think, by the time it got to me. Plus, I was like, wait, the saxophone player?
What's he doing on the back of a Harley? What? Pulling people over. Oh, dude, I had the toys. And the big distinction, if you were a kid with Chips, was what's cooler, black gloves or sort of like light tan gloves? John Baker had the tan gloves. Ponch had the black gloves. I don't know why that was important, but that is a distinction that needs to be made.
I mean, black gloves were probably cooler. It was like I had a
cooler
black baseball mitt at one point in the early 90s because Ricky Jordan had one. Ooh. And I thought that was the coolest. So...
Yeah, the Chips helmet came with a little helmet and a plastic visor that would go down that was like tinted like theirs. It didn't come with a real motorcycle or anything, just a little cheap.
No,
I had a California Highway Patrol, little plastic badge and everything. So
no, I mean it makes sense why that show was popular with kids, right? I mean, yeah.
It was great. It was great.
All right, BJ and the Bear, coffin with a view. BJ meets up with a man who shows an unnatural interest in his cargo, which is a coffin filled with dirt from Transylvania.
Of course. That's
apparently
weird.
It's a movie premiere promo, and this guy's really into the dirt.
How are you putting this on in March? This is not
hey,
this doesn't scream Halloween episode?
Well, but BJ and the Bear wasn't around in Halloween.
Mid-season. Like, this is their Halloween. Okay, it's their Halloween episode. Fair enough.
Right. If you think about it, like, October is kind of like diametrically opposed to March. So.
Wait till their Christmas episode in late to mid-May.
It's like us. Mike, who was the first James Bond before Sean Connery?
Oh, George Lazenby.
He also is the man very interested in dirt.
Poor George. What a steep fall from 007 once to BJ at the Bear as the dirt guy from Transylvania.
The Dracula dirt guy.
Oh, you might remember me like, wait, you're not the same guy.
The real winner tonight, although I can't imagine it was in all the glory back in 1979 on regular network television, CBS showed Death Wish.
What was it?
Which
10 minutes long? Like, what?
I was going to say,
what could they possibly show?
This has to be. I mean, this is the era, right? This is the golden age of when they would like dub your lines and just. Yeah, it's like just got to be like that scene. That scene where Bronson and Vincent Gardenia are like running around in the park in the dark where nothing happens. That probably is the whole movie. It's like
that's it. It's funny is when you say that it makes me want to watch it, and not the remake either, sir.
Oh, I want to watch the CBS edit. I want to see what that looks like.
I got to see what that. It's got a completely different story. You know what I mean?
You know what it is? It's all the Paul Kersey architecture office scenes. It's just like a lot of architecture.
That's funny. That's fun. You know what's weird too? What a bizarre, like, tough guy. And I only say that because it's not like Mr. Bronson was the biggest guy. You know, he really wasn't that. It's just odd that for a guy that's not like, you know, Schwarzenegger or Eastwood or has that sort of I mean, he had to squint. It's just wild that a guy like that could be in movies and buyable.
Yeah.
I guess it says everything for him as an actor. It's just interesting.
Yeah, and you're right.
Imposing.
Well, and you're right too, because it's not like Liam Neeson kind of after Taken became that guy, right? But Taken was the reason.
Let me dye my hair. I'm a man of certain skills. Yeah.
But Bronson has tough guy movies before Death Wish. So it's not like Death Wish made him that guy. He was already that guy from a lot of other movies. So Yeah, and I just think that he was like he was a really good actor in that you could fear him but also care about him, and he emoted both very well, right? So Bronson's great.
Yeah,
And has nothing to do with this episode. The only tie-in we of course have
that's what we
is
should have
Hope
been
Lang.
watching.
Hope Lang, his late wife in that movie, was on episode 4, which of course is the Richard Mulligan pool brawl. Might be hearing more about that in a few weeks for the Stubbies, I think. So
one of my favorite episodes.
One of your least favorite episodes, of course, is this episode. So let's talk about it. And before we get into it, a little behind the curtain here. For the first, we're an official podcast now because we have a lost episode. We had our good friend Beth, who was on episode 12 last year, the infamous Red Hot Full-Blooded American Woman episode. We brought her back because there's a bit of a Julie storyline here, and why not bring in the experts? We had, as bad as this show is, our audio somehow was worse, and so we are re-recording this episode, which means we had to watch this and talk about it twice. So
lucky us. The
lucky
things
you,
we do
listener.
so you don't have to. Yeah, you don't even have to watch this episode. We'll do it for you.
Yeah. So if this episode goes a little off the rails and maybe isn't our, usually by the book, step by step.
Yeah, we're not as dialed in as normal. Please excuse us.
Yeah. We have a lot of returning guests on this one. And I wanted to start with Paul Burke, who plays Walter Barish. He is the older man that was referenced in the synopsis that Julie has the hots for. Speaking of George Lazenby, James Bond, who kind of was a big star and fell off. If you remember when we had Paul Burke on the first time, he was a huge star, was in the Thomas Crown Affair, then basically took the heat for Valley of the Dolls sucking and ended up on the Love Boat. So.
Yeah, poor Paul Burke. His loss is our gain twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not nearly as good as his first effort, though.
Not as creepy. I'll give you that.
Not as creepy, but also, I don't know. There was just something off about his character of this, and maybe they were trying to play it as kind of aloof, but wasn't the Paul Burke outing I was expecting.
No. I do see what you're saying, because I thought it was sort of his role was to be sort of this non-committal devil may care attitude. I've been waiting to say that all week, devil may care. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he had as much to work with. I don't think the character he was playing was as well, like, sort of sketched out for him. There wasn't a lot there, except no thank you. look physically uncomfortable and just say no politely. That's all you need to do, but the first one,
Did you ever see Network? Did you ever see Network?
I've never seen it. Should I see it?
Okay. So in Network, Faye Dunaway and William Holden have a kind of similar age gap. And this Network is one of the best movies of all time, right? So it's obviously, but William Holden, as the older guy, a lot of times, he's kind of like, no, yes. He had all the age concerns and all that, and there was a commentary on it during all that stuff and all that. I'm not saying I needed Paul Burke to be that, but he could have been like 10% more that. That probably would have helped a little bit. I see. So.
Just a little. A little. Well, but then it's like, well, does that fall into the sort of, doing nothing in an episode? Is this the Norman? Is it a Norman Fell effort, or is it the role just not much meat on it?
I think it is more of a Norman Fell thing, because I do think you could make a meal out of some of that stuff. I don't know. I was disappointed, but again,
I was too. I mean, it's a paycheck, right?
Listen,
in a weird way.
If I remember correctly, the way I wrote the Norman Fell Award qualifications, disappointment is part of it. Wow. So I think Mr. Burke could be in the mix.
Yeah, put a star by Paul.
Arlene Dahl played Monica Cross. This is her first of 4 episodes. She, a lot of people have come up this year. She will be on the last one as well, the very last episode.
Oh, okay.
Which is apparently must have 3,000 people based on how many times I've mentioned they're going to be on.
I wonder if it's just going to be a lot of old Like, how do you wrap? I know we're not there yet, but how do you just do it like another episode? Do you think, or do you
The
just
the la-
throw
the
all the
little bit
whistles
I've
at it?
well, the little bit I've seen of last season is that last
Yeah,
season's not really a season. It's 4 almost TV movies. So
what
I
is it like
think it's
a?
probably
It's like a
it.
tour, you know, like
Yeah,
like 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 the Jordan thing. The last time you're ever going to play here kind of thing.
well, I
Celebration.
think don't
Yeah,
don't hold me to this. We got time, but I think the third of the 4 episodes, so the second to last episode, the
yeah.
penultimate episode of this is a Christmas cruise.
Oh.
And then this last one is like Peter Graves is murdered or something like that. Like it's just, so
I mean, I'm open to it. I'm just curious if it's a, if they do a little, like, when do we get a clip show? Is there ever a clip show? No,
oh
they can't do a
God,
clip
why?
show, right?
Oh Lord. No, but yeah,
I can
but now you
imagine.
said it, they might.
I don't know
Oh,
where you'd put it.
just
Well, they could
anywhere.
be, like, like a George and Wheezy kidnapping kind of thing,
Well, the boat, you know what it is? The boat, either the boat gets stuck
or
somewhere or,
repairs or something.
oh, that's, oh God, you know what? There's going to be a
We
clip
might
show.
lose the second engine, like with those kind of things, and they're just
There's
talking about.
another hurricane. Patrick I still don't know how to pronounce this. Labideau, as Bobby Tryman, the teenage love of Julie. His big thing, he was in the 1987 classic Summer School as Kevin. That was much better than this episode of television.
The other thing of note about our good friend Bobby Tryman is he looks a lot like R.I.P. a young Buster Poindexter,
It's
aka
true.
David Johansen.
That's
Hot,
true.
hot, hot. R.I.P. Sir.
I guess
R.I.P.
he
It's
won't be
timely.
on. He won't be on the boat, right? He was too kind of
No,
underground.
well, he was like New
Yeah.
York Dolls kind of punk rock guy.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have lined up. I think the hot,
The
hot,
only
hot was
way
like mid
he
'80s.
Yeah, the only way he would end up on there is if it was like some where like the whole episode was underground. You know what I mean? Like a theme episode or
Yeah,
something.
live
Which
from CBGB's.
I do think as we get further into this, those theme quote unquote episodes are possible. Like I think I had mentioned this. There's an episode in a few years where there's like a bunch of fashion, like real life fashion people, right? So we
Oh,
we could always get a random grouping, but I think it'll be more in the context of a theme than
yeah,
one
agree.
person.
Interesting.
The third and final appearance of, speaking of the Norman Fellow Award, Leslie Nielsen. Now, we have talked about it a lot. He plays Hank Hardaway here. We have talked about it a lot. Leslie Nielsen in 1970, 7, 8, 9. This is pre-Airplane. He is not the Leslie Nielsen we know.
He didn't find his stride yet.
But he couldn't have been more who cares in all 3 of his episodes for the most part. This one wasn't bad. He just didn't do anything. Like he was barely involved.
Well, what's worse? We joke about the Norman Award. Doing that for 1 episode, doing it for 3 episodes, or doing it on the level that Norman did in 1 episode. Like, what's more egregious? 3 bad ones or 1 with no energy?
So I think the thing with the Leslie Nielsen, and the same thing I know is going to offend you with your boy Robert Urich, is you just assume the more chances they get, the guy you actually like would be in there.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, could be the role. I mean, God, the one he was in last year where he was just sleepy all the time. That's not Leslie Nielsen's fault.
No,
like it's, but
it's not.
So.
But I also think that maybe when you do have a bigger star on the show, and then this isn't always consistent. If I'm a writer or director, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, these guys are going to go above because they're big actors, they're big names, like they're going to add something. And I feel like the best people on the show were the people that took their role and just gave a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like the best ones. Or they just had that natural sort of charisma. Bob Crane, it's not fair to compare him to the other ones.
No.
But like, look at Billy Crystal, the way you gave him, right? He did it with oomph.
Well, you know what is
the difference here.
The other thing is, and I'll defend Leslie Nielsen here, is he's a straight man. like obviously, especially back in this period. But it's like, and maybe there just haven't been a lot of obvious straight man roles. But I feel like they've also saddled him with some dud stuff to play off of. Like,
that's a good point.
What if he was Arthur Newberry playing off Richard Mulligan, right? Like, he probably would have been good at that. Like, but they give him the Eva Gabor one. That was his best one, probably. But that was a weird storyline with we were still kind of caught up in the no comeuppance. The second one, he had a younger wife and he was always tired. That's not a.
Put him with an absolute goofball.
Right.
And it works. It's Lewis and Martin. It's the same sort of thing. Like, he would be a great, especially on this. I don't know. Give him somebody just goofy as hell. I don't know who,
or give him a role with more gravitas. You know who he would have been great as?
Paul Lynde would have been a great partner for him. Yeah.
But we haven't had a lot. I will say this. We haven't had a lot of straight man goofball setups.
No, unfortunately.
You know what he would have been great as? Is the one-armed man.
Oh, that's a good one.
He would have been really good with that.
He would have been really good at that.
So he's got the chops. That's what made Airplane so great.
Yeah. Police Story, all those. Yeah. Interesting.
A very different returning guest, and I would say a very improved. Mark Shera played Jeff Cross, the daughter or the son of Marsha Cross. Monica Cross, who cares? Mm-hmm. Mark Shera was the son of Monty Hall in that terrible episode, which was also the one with Leslie Nielsen falling asleep back in 21. Keep these guys apart.
Ooh.
He was way better in this one.
Yeah, he was.
He had a lot more energy, and I think they just gave him more to do. It's obviously easier to act off real actors versus Monty Hall. So his co-star in this one, the love interest, was Diana Hardaway, is played by Ellen Bry. She was big in Saint Elsewhere, apparently. We will see her 2 more times, including season 9 in a little episode you might know as the one that involves Hulk Hogan.
My fingers were crossed when you said episode. Did you know, speaking of Hulk Hogan, I'm sorry to bring this up, but I read this yesterday, and I thought this would be a great place to bring this up. Apparently, when the Ultimate Fighting Championships were first started, Hulk Hogan has said now in an interview the other day that they approached him to participate in one of the first UFC events.
Sure.
But he turned him down, brother. He turned him down.
Who's a bigger liar, Hulk Hogan or Bobby the Liar from the Halloween episode this season?
I think you know exactly who it is. What you gonna do when Hogan keeps lying to you, brother?
Shout out to James Dobson, who played Anderson the Steward. He comes back a bunch of times, including as a priest, and then also as Andy the Steward, a more fun version, I guess.
The party guy
of Anderson. This guy got a lot of lines for a crew member.
How did this guy? Here's the way. Where? It's odd for me to see his name on multiple episodes.
Yeah,
but we've had other. I just don't know what the significance. Maybe James Dobson knew people. He knew where somebody was buried or something. I don't know how he got
3 different speaking scenes from a crew member who is not a portal star. Is
unbelievable.
That has to be a record. I think the radio guy got 2. I think that was the most we had seen.
He didn't even get a name.
Yeah, exactly. Not Anderson the Steward.
No.
But the real interesting portal deal and credits this week, Bo and Sam, Philip Charles McKenzie, and Michael Tucci. Philip McKenzie, I think, has become a pretty prolific director on TV. He was involved with that whole duet show that we've talked about a few times in the initial Fox lineup. Michael Tucci played Sonny in Grease. And I will act surprised when you tell me the other thing, because you told us on the last episode the other thing he was in.
Mike, you won't believe it.
Go on.
Philip Charles McKenzie. He played the burglar that tied up and locked George and Wheezy and their dry cleaners in all 3 of the clip shows they had from last season.
The aforementioned clip show.
Yeah, 3 of them.
Oh, what if he... See, this sucks because he's never coming back. Wouldn't it be great if he came back and kidnapped Stubing? And that's how we got the other clip show.
Locked them all in the boat. An hour of clip. But what a weird clip show it would be. Like, it'd be weird to show, like, it would have to be like, oh, pratfalls, or like Stubing getting punched. It would have to be like quick cuts.
It would almost have to be like musical performances. Yeah. Pratfalls, crew love.
Lots.
Like, it would have to be, it would almost all have to involve the crew, right?
Pool candles, everything. Like, you could throw everything in there. Skeet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to ask us, we can chop it up. The weird thing about Bo and Sam is they're not in the portal. We only have 5 in the portal. That line cuts off at Michael Shera. After the episode is over, we get the end credits, the end title scene basically at the end of Act 5. And then they have special guest stars, and these 2 get portal credits after the show is over.
I felt like I was watching a Marvel movie. I didn't go anywhere.
What is Nick Fury going to show up?
Nick Fury's going to show up. They're going to give us some secret. Yeah, I was all about it. And I was rewarded, Mike, with post-credit portals.
Well, this makes me mad because now I have to leave these episodes on like for an extra 20 seconds when I'm watching them, which is not what I'm looking for. So
imagine secret scenes like no one knew,
Well, we ran into this a couple times last year where there would be an extra Act 5 thing, and one of us had turned it off because we just assumed it was over. So.
Like it's like a 15-second.
Terrible 20s.
Terrible.
Anything else you want to hit before we get on this boat?
I think we've hit everything and then some. I'm ready to get on this boat.
Yeah. Yep. Here we go. All right. So we open up with Doc and Julie. They are talking about a gift that hasn't arrived yet. And they seem very panicked about it. And they also don't seem thrilled that they put Gopher and Isaac in charge of said gift.
It's a terrible idea.
We quickly find out that the gift is for Meryl Stubing's 5-year anniversary of being the captain of this ship. I don't know what you thought, and we never really actually talked about it, but I definitely assumed he had been the captain of the ship longer than 5 years.
I thought so too. It's weird. I don't think I had a number in mind, but I definitely thought it was more than 5, like maybe 7, 8. I don't know why.
Make it 10? Just why not? If you're going to do this, why not make it 10?
I don't know. When did he quit drinking? Was it more or less
10 years ago? 10 years ago.
Okay. I just want to cover.
Got drunk. He got drunk on the way to the interview.
Right. That's what I mean. Like,
oh, by the way, as I am working on my stubby ballot, I just re-listened to episode 10, which is Artie D'Angelo.
Yeah.
And in that episode, it's the debut of the Pirates Cove. And Stubing orders a gigantic fruity drink.
Busted. Fruity mocktail or cocktail?
Well, we don't know, but he had a gigantic drink in front of him. So
did he make a face after he sipped it?
Well, the problem, what the problem is? I'm not rewatching the episodes. I'm listening to our episodes. So it's but eagle-eyed listeners and viewers can track that one for sure.
You just gave me something to do this weekend. Boom. Hey, kids.
So Doc's like, where's the gift? Doc is really into this whole thing for some reason.
Yeah, then why didn't he get it? Why wouldn't you put Doc in charge of this?
Yeah.
He's bought many a gift.
Oh, yeah. And he's an adult. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised Gopher bought this nonsense gift.
That's just so stupid. Yeah.
Doc doesn't want to be bothered. That's why. They gave it to Gopher because he's got nothing to do.
He's too busy. He's Gopher, if you keep making decisions like this, you're never going to move up for assistant purser.
Yeah, you'll never make the show, Gopher. So nothing says
more. Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing says 5-year anniversary of being the captain of a boat then a replica of said boat made from 16,842 matchsticks.
16,842 matchsticks. That's right.
Gopher's like, it's on the way. And wouldn't you know it? It's on the way. So we get a shot of two people, delivery men, I assume, walking this replica boat through. Now, I don't know much about matchstick modeling, but I would assume you could probably like build it in a few parts and then, hitch it together, or at the very least put it in some sort of box. I know when I hitch, like hairpins, let's say. Hitch it, yeah.
All right. Okay. So you're saying like move it in pieces and then assemble as a whole when you get to your final destination.
Right. Like there should be 4 fasteners where you can put it together. But I'm not in the matchstick model business, so I guess I don't know. When I've worked in a deli and we would have like 2-foot hoagies, we had a 2-foot box that it went in. We didn't just walk around with it loose. Anyway, these guys are like dodging traffic like it's Black Friday. Like they're just like...
I used to work at a bar, and it was a Mexican bar, and you could go in and build model airplanes. It was called Chips and Balsa.
Wow, that's a good name.
Sorry, Chips and Balsa. That's all I got. Ooh, all right.
I'm so glad we're re-recording that. So glad you wrote new material for this one.
Yeah, that's a new one. That one didn't make it from the first. Wow, you'd think I would have thought about that. Chips and balsa.
All right, Steubing shows up and he is just doing this whole shtick about how just a normal cruise, just another everyday thing, nothing special here.
Nope.
And the crew is like trying to agree with him, like, yep, nothing special. And then he kind of ham fists in. It's like, what has it been? 2 years? 3 years? Looks like it's been 5 years. Shut up.
Who does that? What kind of boss does that?
Well, and then what kind of boss does this, which is he is expecting gifts for a 5-year anniversary. Like, and he is dropping not subtle hints about wanting a watch.
Well, and again, something we did talk about the first time we recorded it was about the whole... Is it inappropriate or appropriate to gift up versus gifting down in a work type situation?
Yeah.
It's odd that he's like basically telling them, this is what I want, which is like the perfect example of why you wouldn't gift. If HR had a video camera and they were videoing, well, I mean, we have video proof. If this was turned into HR of the Pacific Princess Cruises, this would be the like training video of why not to gift up.
Right. Because it's like, so now he's not savvy enough to hold grudges for these poor gifts, but he basically is a sad boy later in the episode when he's getting these gifts that he doesn't feel are appropriate for, his very special 5-year work anniversary.
So, what a meaningless anniversary for him. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who's to say? Do you think any of the crew members have been on the boat longer than 5 years? Did they experience whoever the captain was before this? So
going into this episode, if you had asked me, I would have assumed that Steubing had been on for 10-ish. Doc had maybe been with him on a previous boat, or like we've always kind of talked about those two being like long time people or whatever,
like Bones and Kirk.
And then Gopher and Isaac, I want to say 3-4 years, and I think we've kind of established Julie's the new one, 2-3 years. So no, I think and that's probably the only reason he gets away with his BS is because he's been on long enough. So.
Yeah, but the crew can be like, well, it's great. It's your 5-year anniversary. I hope the boat gets you a gift because I've only worked for you for a year, sir.
Yeah.
What? Just because it's your anniversary? How does that mean anything? That doesn't even...
Yeah. And the fact that the entire basically departments are buying these gifts, as we see later, like the stewards get a gift, the kitchen gets a gift. It's like, so you're making all these people chip in for your nonsense.
if it was worthy of a gift, wouldn't the cruise liner itself be the one to buy him a gift? Like,
Right.
here's a pocket watch,
Right.
but that ain't happening.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, and in lieu of not getting that gift, he's gonna be stooping on steroids and just gimme. All right.
He's still mad that he didn't get. He's still mad they didn't get the captain's cup.
Oh, he's still pissed off about that. I will say, so far, I'm glad that they're not wearing shorts yet. I cannot take any order coming from the captain seriously when he's wearing the short. Like, just wear pants and a tie. I can't even. So
we've established, right, on and off the boat, it's pants and a tie.
Seems that way.
Which I think lends to your argument of how unserious you are in shorts when you want to make the first and last impressions the best ones, right? And you're dressed well, and then like, in the middle, it's just you can dress like Donald Duck. Like,
Donald Duck. Let me pull out my milky legs and show with my knee socks. It's just such a bad look.
I guess because they're trapped. It's like Stockholm syndrome,
long socks
for thighs.
Like, you're going to wear high socks and long shorts. So really, it's only like this much. Just wear pants. What are you doing? You're wearing 2 garments to cover less skin than 1 garment. And I can't take you seriously. That's like a mailman. I'm not asking him for anything in shorts. Nothing.
And I know
can't take it seriously.
I know we've talked about this before, but if people are not in the pool area,
right,
it's not like everybody's wearing shorts, right? Like
right.
Passengers, like
right. Not
the
necessarily.
Temperature on this boat seems to vary. You could probably get away with whatever you wanted. So.
Right. It's windy enough where, like a lifeguard sitting on duty, I totally get the shorts thing. Everybody else, it makes 0 sense to me.
No. I certainly don't want Doc wearing shorts. Like, if Gopher wants to wear shorts, fine. But the doctor and the captain should not wear shorts.
Does Isaac ever wear shorts?
No. Isaac never is out of his bartending. Isaac's the only person who's always in uniform, it seems like, unless he's romancing.
Unless he's wrapped in leather or suede.
Yep.
Interesting. I never thought about the Isaac doesn't wear shorts thing. Interesting. Okay.
A man and a woman accidentally bump into each other heading into the ship. This is probably a natural bump, as we've seen. But it turns out they know each other. This is our intro to Jeff and Diana. Diana thinks Jeff has turned out gorgeous. So they never really established where they know each other from, but probably high school or college.
Or elementary school, where it's a real shocker. Like, like, wow, you've grown up 20 years or so. You look so different. Yeah.
Still eating paste. Jeff is a writer for the Briscoe City Journal, which just happens to be owned and published by Diana's father, Hank Hardaway.
But twist,
Jeff's mother, Monica Cross, is the attorney representing the union for the people against, I guess, Hank Hardaway, the employees of that said Briscoe newspaper.
Wait, so you're telling me that you... And my question is, where's Briscoe? Where's Briscoe? What state is Briscoe? Is it a suburb of Los Angeles? Where is Briscoe?
Isn't Briscoe County something?
Yeah, that was that Bruce Campbell show, The Adventures of Briscoe County on Fox.
Was that not California?
It could be New Mexico. I don't know. Briscoe. I don't know. I didn't see any turquoise, so they didn't look like New Mexico residents.
I'm going to assume it's California, especially since they all seem to know each other.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll never know, because I am not looking up anything else for this episode ever.
No, we're done with this one. No. In the old recycling bin. Yeah.
Monica and Hank have already figured out that they're on the boat together, and they're not thrilled about it. And we begin one of 17 scenes that are exactly the same. So
yeah. And again, if you look at this right from the beginning, you've pretty much figured out what happens at the end right here.
Yep.
It's wrapped up pretty much.
Julie and Gopher are checking in passengers in a very small entrance way. The line is backed up a little bit. It almost looks like they're coming through like a small doorway. And so Julie's got her clipboard, and this man in glasses kind of knocks it out of her hand. Not as natural a a collision as we saw
She
earlier in this
smacks
episode.
it out of her hand.
Yeah.
Curse smack! Get out of my way!
I went back a couple times to take a look at it just to see like if I could figure it out. I will say this: Lauren Hughes does a really good job. She's kind of got it naturally. Like it wasn't like she just threw it. Like
That's funny.
I don't think they thought anybody was slowing it down like I did. So
like a Steven Seagal fight scene, sure.
So when the clipboard's on the ground, the man next in line goes to pick it up. And here we go.
Oh boy.
It's Paul Burke. He picks it up, hands it back to Julie, and when they catch eyes, Julie just is like humming over Paul Burke, like just stares at him, mouth agape for a while. Julie can't even function. Like Gopher has to step in and kind of help out, and if Gopher's helping over you, you're not doing your job that well. And kind of
isn't it amazing how she is just so smitten? Again, I'm not, age difference, whatever. It's just so odd that it's not like I don't know, Paul, what's his name?
Orndorff.
Paul. It's not like Paul Orndorff is walking on the boat with one arm slightly smaller than the other one. No, I just think that it's so odd that like this is her
type.
Like not even just type. Like she's completely, like she's on the level that Gopher was when he was like trying to talk to that supermodel.
Yeah,
and this man, maybe he was an older man model back. I don't know, but. It's just weird that she's so smitten with these guys that really, you're like, really? It's just,
it is interesting.
Paul Burke's not. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he's that attractive.
Yeah, like the best looking guy in terms of like reputation that Julie has cased in this show so far is Robert Urich, right?
Or Potsy.
Oh, come on.
Got weird.
He's a priest.
No, I agree. He, at least in looks wise, right? All jokes aside, at least Robert Urich's like, okay, he's a good looking dude.
And he's known as a good looking dude, too. I think that's my point.
Yeah, Paul Burke, he doesn't have like centerfolds of him in a 3-piece suit you hang up on the wall.
But
Chesterfield ad. Oh.
He's better looking than Buddy Stanfield.
He is better looking than Buddy Stanfield. I'll give him that. But Buddy Stanfield's no prize either.
I think if you want to give the writers more credit than they probably deserve, there is a world where whatever the hell Buddy Stanfield did to Julie as a kid, right? As a 19-year-old kid or whatever she was, that she is still dealing with all that stuff. Now, I don't think the show actually thought that far, but like there is a world where the Buddy Stanfield stuff kind of led her to have a type, but also maybe not know how to deal with it. And that kind of thing. So
maybe she's just looking for a guy that kind of looks like Norman Fell, but not too much like Norman Fell to make it weird.
He also kind of looked like Richard Chamberlain.
He did look like Richard Chamberlain a little bit.
Especially in this one. I didn't think it last time, but of course he was dying last episode.
Let me ask you now real quick. Richard Chamberlain, does he make it on the boat? He's too big for the boat, right?
He's too big. Back at this time, he's too big.
On TV.
Yeah, he's too big a TV star, I think.
Right? North and South, and then the
Thornburg
Samurai one.
I think I would be surprised.
Shogun, I think it was called. He was awesome.
I guess it's possible, like late run. Just I don't really know the timing of some of those, but like if he's on, it could be like season 8 or something like that.
Yeah,
but the long and short of this is that Julie is, just apoplectic about this Paul Burke character. Walter Barish. She finally shakes it off and asks if he needs help finding his room. He's like, no, I'm good. And then she's like, well, you're by yourself. Do you need help with dinner? That's my job, to make sure you have someone to have dinner with.
Ew.
Which technically, but basically Julie strong arms him into a dinner date. Which I again, like you said earlier, his entire character is like, I guess
right. I have to eat. As well.
I'm going to be there.
Like this is just an appointment where he can eat food. He doesn't really care about her at all. He's just like, okay,
I'm going to be at the table regardless, eating regardless.
Pretty clear already. He's like, what? If the only way you can get time with someone is by lying to them, saying that, no, you have to have dinner with me. It's part of my job.
Right.
All right. Cool.
Julie asked
Sure.
Gopher if that was a little pushy, and he says that he's seen daintier muggings, which was probably the best line in the whole episode.
Funny.
Steubing is talking to a child in a suit. Turns out this is Bobby Tryman. He's asking about the Digiplot computer, and he'd like to see it. And Steubing has no idea what the hell he's talking about. So.
He just goes, look at my watch. It's a little behind. That's all he does. He doesn't know how to do anything.
He's like, oh, that thing I got the donut box in front of. Hold on.
I can show you, Bobby. I'll show you a magic trick. At 3:00, watch this donut appear.
Bobby's father is the quote director of the line, which I guess is like a Stars Guard position.
That's really what I was just going to say. I wonder if there's a
org chart. Yeah,
I'd love to see org chart and children of the leadership of the. Sure.
So Julie's job this week is to keep an eye on him, because of course it is. And quickly we find out that Bobby thinks Julie is just the bee's knees.
The cat's pajamas.
Yeah. He asks Steubing if Julie's married, which I'm sure doesn't mean anything and won't come up.
He's probably like, oh, God, no. I mean, no. Why do you ask?
The delivery guys are looking for Gopher to come take the matchstick bottle. They're trying to avoid Steubing, of course. But some well-placed voiceover acting here means he's close. And that causes them to back up right into a wall and break the bottle.
I was saying that in my notes. I was like, either that or somebody is throwing their voice. You know, that old trick.
The voiceover cameo from, quote, Riley, who Steubing blows off. Steubing even blows off the voiceover crew. Like, it's just like...
He doesn't care.
So Bo and Sam, they are the two movers. They don't think they can fix it. And I hope not, because it's only Act 1. So
yeah, I don't know why you'd
can't fix it. You just sit in the corner for the rest of the episode.
Wouldn't you just like, let's say it broke? Wouldn't you just turn? I would just turn around and leave the boat. Like, what else at that point? What could you really do? Like, I can't fix this.
COD.
I would just turn around and leave the boat and be like, I'll get it to you, but I can't. It's broken. We couldn't. You know, hey, how about meet us outside the boat? How about that, guys?
How about meet us yesterday? Can we have it delivered 2 hours before?
How many crew members are there?
We have seen them with a crane.
Yes.
Pull up
2
cases
sticks,
of Heineken.
But
right?
Anything. Just
the sticks. Yes, they should use.
But I'm saying, like, how many other crewmen? Why are these guys?
Yeah.
You're right, though. This was just a promotion for the new Sid and Marty Krofft show starring these guys in a time machine. You know, that's all this is.
Well, it's like Frankie Avalon's computer, right? Those weren't Frankie Avalon's guys moving it in, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
Well, except when we had the palm reader, didn't the palm reader have her own people carrying in those big suitcases?
No, I think they were just people.
Were they just like movers? Like the guy that carries around Oscar's can, you know that guy.
Sully? Meanwhile, we get the all visitors ashore announcement, which, you know, obviously this is like in wrestling when they announce how much time's left in a match, because you know it's going to be a time limit draw.
Yeah.
So, once again, another story 2 weeks in a row where someone is basically kept on the boat against their will. The crew is excited that the gift has arrived, but then they see what happened. Horn goes off. Mayhem ensues.
Where were these guys sleeping? Where did they put them to? It was Gopher's room, just everybody? You had...
Was that I don't think that was Gopher's room. I think that was just an empty cabin.
On this cruise?
Well, the gunnels were not full this week.
I guess not.
Hank is complaining to Diana about Monica. And guess what? Monica is complaining to Jeff about Hank.
What?
Not going to lie, people. There's one scene worth talking about in this family storyline. We will talk about that one. The rest of them we are going to kind of blow by. You're not missing anything. You can figure it out. You guys who have been listening to 46 episodes before this one, you can figure out what's going on here.
It's not good, peeps.
The password is shuffleboard, though. When you hear us talk about shuffleboard, that's the one scene you want to hear.
Yeah. It's a shuffleboard drinking game.
All right, Julie is with Bobby on the Lido deck. They've been talking so much that the only thing Bobby doesn't know about Julie is her grandmother's middle name, Myrtle. I definitely do not know.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know either of my grandmother's middle names. Maybe ever, but definitely not, now.
Oh, I definitely know. I don't, or my great-grandmother or my grandmother's middle name. Wait,
Bobby,
didn't they just take maiden names back then instead of middle names?
As middle names?
Like a thing? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, Myrtle would be a weird maiden name unless she's named after the beach. Maybe Julie's grandmother is the heiress to the Myrtle Beach fortune.
Sandy Myrtle. Oh, of the Myrtle family. Yes.
Sandy Myrtle owns Myrtle Beach.
That's it. Sandy Myrtle. She won't get married either because she doesn't want to lose her last name.
Myrtle. No, unless she meets a guy named Beach. Former Phillies pitcher Matt Beach. Julie's grandmother marries former Phillies pitcher Matt Beach.
You can hyphenate it too. It's all good.
God. So Bobby is in 8th grade. Then he's going off to Choate, which we looked up in the previous episode is a boarding school in Connecticut, I think, or somewhere in New England.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we kind of assume that Choate is well known enough to connotate well-to-do boarding school fops. So,
what was the name of the school again?
Choate, Choate, I think, when we looked it up.
I thought it was Chode.
No, we're not doing that again. We're not bringing that bit back.
Chode?
That bit was not worth doing the first time. It's not worth doing the second time. So.
I will say that this boarding school, I do remember it from the research before. It was like a feeder for Yale.
Yes,
I think it was in Rhode Island or something. Yeah.
Why couldn't they just say, like, this isn't a real show, right? You could just say it's going to Yale Prep or something like.
It could be like I was going to ABC boarding school. Oh, and I looked up the tuition. I think I said it too. I think it was $95,000 a year if you live there. Yeah, and like $70 if you don't.
It's a bitch to commute from Briscoe to.
No kidding. All the way from
Briscoe County with Bruce Campbell.
You can't find a better school that's not 15 states away. Come on.
I mean, if you're going to go to a snobby boarding school, you're not going to one in California.
Why would they bring one up from the East Coast? It's so weird. Or you know what it is? Because cruise magnates, big wigs in the cruise industry, they don't live on the West Coast. That's easy.
The problem is
New England.
The problem is we also don't know if this was actually a reference that made a lot more sense and had more weight in 1979.
Maybe
right?
One of the producers went there, or maybe it's a renowned, like everybody knows where like VMI is, right? Or maybe not.
Maybe Spelling was trying to get Tori into a boarding school.
Bingo. That's what it was.
There you go. Free advertising. Bobby goes to get Julie some lemonade. Spiked, I assume. When who swoops in? That old dreamboat, Walter Barish.
Here he comes.
Julie has another flirty exchange, asking if it's okay to call him Walter and insisting that she can definitely call her Julie. And it's just very haphazard at best. So
she it's all fastballs. Like there's no technique in Julie's like, attempt here. It's just all fastballs all over the plate. There's no mystery. There's no anything. It's just.
So it's interesting because now there are two types of unsuccessful Julie flirting that we've seen, right? This, where she's just a mile a minute, manic in a way. And then there's the trying to flirting, which is worse.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if she's like, well, I'm not good at flirting, but if I just go really fast, maybe something will stick. So
just no words are free. Just throwing as many as that's just
when Julie slows down and flirts, it usually doesn't work. The only time it worked was with Tony Roberts. So
what's her end game here? Is it relationship or one wild night with Julie or both? Or what do you think her game plan is? Like, what is she looking for?
I mean, it almost seems like she's like just smitten, right? But I don't know. What's the end game with any of these people? Like on this boat? Like,
but the Julie thing, it's so weird. Like, she met the guy. We'll see him again with the Alaska thing. That had such a different feel. Like, that felt so much less desperate than this. Like, this is almost like her poison, you know? And it's just like, what is it that she wants from these older dudes?
Yeah. And again, this is the thing we've talked about before is Julie gets stuck with a lot more of these because she's the only female. This would have been a perfectly acceptable episode for a guest star to do.
100%. 100%.
So, and you know what? I bet you we see it at some point with a guest star.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
So, Bobby comes swinging back and he sees what's happening here. Lesson learned there, Bobby. Don't leave Julie alone.
Don't leave her alone.
For a second.
That's on you, Bob.
Meanwhile, we join a kidnapping in progress. Gopher tells Bo and Sam, since they built the ship and broke the ship, they got to fix the ship. Sure, that's a thing. So,
yeah, that's good. That's good.
In a rare bit of explanation that I would have asked the same question, Bo's like, we're not licensed to work outside the United States, so we're going to go.
Great answer. Yeah, good answer.
Isaac's like, you can't go. The boat already left. So now you literally can't leave. It's Goodfellas. So.
It is. I mean, in international water, I would think that would make the crime that much worse. Or that
not
much,
a crime
more
at all.
severe. Yeah.
Or not a crime at all.
Or not a crime at all. Yeah.
Also, it's not Goodfellas. It's Bronx Tale. I apologize. That would have bothered me all day. So somehow, and I know you said you thought it was Gopher's cabin, but it wasn't marked with the posters and stuff.
I just assumed I don't, because he had to, because it wasn't Doc's.
Right. And the thing is, Steubing, who's got nothing to do, somehow ends up on the outside of this cabin. Now, if it's not Gopher's cabin, why would he be over there? I mean, why would he be there in general?
Right.
But of all the gin joints, he just happens to walk in on where they're trying to hide all this from being heard.
And there's nothing captain-like that's bringing him to that room.
No, not at all.
There's nothing that, like, a part of his job. I mean, there's no steering wheel in there, but as we know, that doesn't mean anything because he doesn't steer anything.
No pastries in there. So.
No pastries. Yeah, Chef Borga's not in there. There's no bottles of ketchup to throw away. Like, there's no reason for him to be there.
Doc and Isaac and Gopher come out and kind of have to think on their feet, which isn't that hard with Steubing, and they basically tell him that they were planning his party.
Yeah, just stroke his ego, and he's like, "Oh, okay." You just tell him anything. We're getting you. We're making a new hat for you. Ooh, cool.
Yeah. He feigns surprise that he had never thought about it, and then hands them a guest list. The boat's in the middle of the ocean, so the guest list is limited. He should have just handed him the manifesto.
Yeah. Like, who? And I want you to invite Mr. and Mrs. Seagull, right? Like, all these, like, what are you talking about? Do you know how long it's going to take to set up this ship-to-shore communication just for a few of them? Come on. They're going to meet us in Mazatlan?
The list is just all the women he's attempted to hook up with since the show started.
And
so it's like the blonde that Billy Crystal took, and Karen Maynard, and like it's all. So.
And his buddy, the chef at that Mexican restaurant in Mazatlan.
Yes.
Doesn't serve alcohol. He's there.
Yeah, right. Raymond Burr, because he definitely was trying to hook up with Raymond Burr. So.
The monk in charge of the monastery that Pepito came from. I definitely want him there. Just,
Hank and Monica accidentally are sitting next to each other on the deck chair. No words are spoken, but they both realize it and they just leave.
What a weird
Jeff
scene.
and Diana take this opportunity to jump in the pool for a little game of Last One In's a Rotten Egg.
I have to bring this up. We talked about it in the first one. let me just explain here. So Diana's in the pool up to her waist. She's in the pool. Okay. The gentleman is sitting on the pool edge with his legs in the pool where she says, last one in is a rotten egg. I'm throwing the penalty flag on that. You're already in the pool. You're just calling him a rotten egg at this point. That's not how you do this.
Yeah.
There's etiquette.
No.
I don't know. It's a big deal to me. It was such a big
deal. As we will learn when the shuffleboard cues come out.
Yeah, cues. Yeah, nice.
When the shuffleboard cues come out, rotten egg is not the worst thing that gets thrown around between these two.
No, a good call.
Julie is heading to her cabin, and Julie heads into her cabin, and she walks in. There's a gift, some kind of floral arrangement, and an unsigned card. We get the card hand model back this week for another run. They've been very busy. Maybe that should be the crew member of the year this year. It's the hand model.
Or just do a clip show of just hand model shots for 44 minutes.
The card says cocktails 5 p.m. the Pirates Cove. Obviously, Julie thinks this came from Walter Barish. Walter, you sneaky devil or secret
sneaky bastard.
Yeah, whatever she says. And they go to commercial with Julie kind of sniffing the flowers, and things are looking up for Julie McCoy this week. Act 2 begins with things not looking up for Julie McCoy this week. So she rolls.
That progressed quickly.
She rolls. It was a long commercial. She rolls into the Pirates Cove all dolled up. Beth pointed this out, how good Julie looked. We said the same thing last week. This is peak Lauren Choose. She looks fantastic.
All out there.
Yep. But it turns out that here's shocker. Those flowers, that card, came from a 13-year-old boy. So.
Yeah. Read the room, Julie. Or better yet, maybe you can figure out that Walter just does that. It wants nothing to do with it.
He's not that into you.
He's just not into you.
Now, in Julie's defense, 5 p.m. is the time that both a 13-year-old and an old man would probably pick to have drinks. So.
Well, they're both in bed by 9. Either way, so you got a 4-hour window, Julie. It seemed a little early for her to be dressed like that, to be honest with you. Like, sun's up.
Well, but here's the thing, right? So she's got dinner plans with Walter at 7. If she thinks that they're having drinks first, she's basically dressed for the evening. So I guess that makes sense.
I like the fact that Walter's already in the bar getting hammered because he has to have dinner with Julie in 2 hours.
Pre-gaming. Bobby, again, a 13-year-old, was able to get the good booth at the Pirates Cove. Julie sits down and she's just like, it's awkward, obviously, right? I couldn't tell if she was more embarrassed that she guessed wrong, embarrassed that she was sitting with this 13-year-old, embarrassed that she got all dressed up for this, all that stuff. But it all gets trumped by when she looks across and who's at the bar pounding his wine? It's Walter. The big old like, hey.
Walter, why are you switching to liquor now? No reason.
This is the first time I've thought that maybe he was a ghost.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about that. Only she can see him. Does he talk to anybody else on the boat?
He talks to Steubing for a second.
Maybe, no, that ruins
But, I mean, Steubing might just be saying words anyway, so.
Steubing's probably high on sugar. He doesn't even know what's...
In the dining room, Jeff and Diana are enjoying a meal. Monica shows up and she sees the extra chairs and she puts 2 and 2 together and realizes, oh boy, old Hank's going to be showing up. So she's like, I got to go.
Bye.
Hank comes in, sees Monica, and they kind of like, ugh. And they both go.
Yeah, not a lot of dialogue for these two this week.
Back in the Pirates Cove, Walter is telling Julie that she's one of the most beautiful and charming women on this boat.
Not
even Julie admits. Even Julie admits maybe not this week. Like she's like, I've strung like 3 words together, so it's maybe not.
Funny. So okay, so him saying that, right? If there's like 700 people in the boat, let's say half are women. Okay. So he's basically saying like, you are the best looking out of 351 women on this ship. Like it's not a big
Well, it's
swipe.
Not just that. As we established, she's the only woman he's talked to.
Right. Wow.
Nay, seen, really.
Yeah. You're the most attractive woman on this level of the ship.
And as far as
the second, What a weird
Yeah, and as
compliment.
far as charming, like, I don't know, Diana was pretty charming too, so.
I don't think anything that Julie's done has been charming.
No, not charming.
She put a knife to his throat to try to get a dinner date. Jeez. It's my job. Like, whoa, Julie.
This is where they start the age conversation. Which again, like, yes, we know that Paul Burke is older than Julie. I don't know if they thought that they had to drive it home more.
They really
than they had,
didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Julie's like, age isn't always a bad thing. What about wine? And then Walter's like, I won't tell you when I've been bottled.
Yeah. Ew. Won't tell you how long my cork's been dry. Like, oh, thanks, Walter.
Bobby is now sitting with. Go ahead.
Can I say this? Why don't they just say how old he is? Why don't we just throw numbers out? Now they were quick to throw how old Bobby was, right? 13, yeah, 13, 13. Like,
because I would say usually this show is very hesitant to throw out specifics, yes, but this is an episode where they did throw out a lot of specifics. So it was
part of the story. Like, tell us how old Walter is.
Yeah. Old enough.
Old. Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
Bobby is sitting with Steubing now, and he kind of asks who's the guy Julie's with. Steubing kind of gives her it's her job. She's a cruise director. She's got to be nice to people. And then he's like, I think you're pretty fond of Miss McCoy. Fond of her? I'm in love with her.
Uh-oh.
Steubing does nothing to end this situation.
Yeah. Steubing trademark worried look on his face. Oh no.
Slow dancing this week, so no disco. Walter is dancing with Julie, and he's not singing some sort of funeral song and diving into the band like he did in episode 18. So he's already one up there. Would have been great if that was his bit, though. Every time
whispers to the band.
Every episode ends with him being sent off on a launch.
And they make it seem like he died. What happened to him? It was terrible. He had an ear infection. He was taken to the hospital. It just this awful, but not
things
awful.
People do to get out of dates with Julie.
Oh, no kidding.
Out on
he has
the deck,
himself evacuated. In a medical emergency, we got to get him off in a chopper, and he's like, "Thank God."
All right, out on the deck, Jeff and Diana are smooching. I told you we weren't going to focus on this stuff a lot.
It's terrible. Nothing happens. It's the worst storyline of the season.
Back in the matchstick cabin, Bo and Sam are working on trying to fix it. This is basically Sam doing all the work and Bo hanging by the door, hearing the music and kind of longing for an opportunity to boogie, as one does.
Sure.
But luckily, opportunity knocks. Sam realizes that they need more hairpins to fix this broken model. Well, there's no more hairpins in that cabin. You gotta get out. Go get them. So they flip a coin. Sam wins. Sam never wins. But Bo kind of manipulates Sam into basically letting Bo go.
Yeah, Sam's not the brightest.
Yeah, they've established the dynamic here. A dynamic you can probably see this fall at 8:00 on Tuesdays. Right before Delta House.
Sculpture repairman.
Yeah. Bo starts to walk out, but then he has second thoughts, and long story short, too late. The two of them have decided they're going to go together to get the hairpins. Great
idea.
This is where I wanted to watch Death Wish. Basically,
yeah. This is what I'm wondering. Going, God, where are they in that movie right now? Jeez,
we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot about the art of the cut-in and the politics of the cut-in this season.
Yeah,
Bobby, 13-year-old boy, cuts in on Paul Burke.
That's a ballsy
dance with Julie.
Maybe it's not ballsy because he's a kid, but it's still pretty ballsy.
And I feel like it's that thing where it probably gives you a good indication that where Paul Burke's interest was, right? So because Julie clearly didn't want to do this, so
no.
Julie did not seem thrilled about this at all.
Well, you don't have to accept a cut-in. Wait, who's it up to accept a cut-in? The guy or the lady?
Well, the guy's the one who has to leave.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be up to the guy, or Or does the woman have to be like, okay?
This has never happened to me, but I've had a version of it where you're at a bar with a female friend,
Sure.
and the guy on the other side of her is flirting, and you get a kick underneath the bar. So my assumption is if you're dancing and somebody comes in to try and cut, you would get a hand squeeze, and that's a no. That is my assumption. I do not know if that's how the world works, but I'd like to think I would be perceptive enough there. I mean, I don't care. I'll just dance somewhere else.
I just want to say that, we haven't been to a wedding in a while. The next wedding that we were both at, I just want you to know I'm going to put on a cut-in exhibition. I'm going to cut in so many times. Just like I'll be like, I'll hold my hand up and be like, Mike, going for number one.
Now, will it be people that we know or both?
No. It's got to be people we don't know, because I could play it off like, oh, ha, ha, ha. We're going hardcore cut-ins.
Gotcha. Keep a score. Keep a scoreboard.
Keep a score. After the first one doesn't go well, it's just abandoned. Where's Mike? He's outside sulking. He was upset about it. Yeah.
He was sent home.
Yeah, and I think he might have eaten a crab cake off the floor. I don't know for sure.
He's on launch. Okay, so we're in the hallway now. Bo and Sam realize that they can't go dancing in these worker clothes.
No.
Luckily, who's coming down the hallway with a rack of clothes? It's our good friend, Anderson the steward.
Andy.
Fortuitous timing for Bo and Sam. Anderson is knocking on a door to drop off some suits, and while he's doing that, on the other side of the rack, now, initially you would think, oh, we'll just steal these suits, but I guess they're class acts, right? So they look up a tag, and then when Anderson turns around, they say, hi, I'm Harrogate, and I need some suits. Anderson doesn't ask for their room number, doesn't ask why they're in the hallway, doesn't ask why they're in worker clothes.
Not a good job by Anderson.
Hands that baby over. Bo then kind of strong arms and says he wanted them at 6, not 9, and gives him no tip. Poor Anderson.
If Anderson was doing a good job, he would have been like, I'll put it on your room door.
Yeah.
Wait your turn.
Yeah, you got your receipt?
Yeah. I'll see you in your room.
I think this is the first time Anderson's had 2 suits stolen off his rack.
No. Usually that rack starts, he's always having, well, ever since the John Ritter thing, just the whole clothes exchange has been kind of locked down.
Steubing and Gopher roll into the lounge. And this is just another opportunity for Steubing to talk about how off the timing of his watch is. Needs a new watch. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Bo and Sam show up in Mr. Haggerty's outfits. Sam is wearing a tuxedo, looking pretty suave. Bo is dressed like a Johnny Dangerously character.
Yeah, it's something.
They're here for hairpins, and rather than go to the gift shop, Bo searches out a lady with a very meticulous hairdo, starts to dance, and just starts picking out hairpins. A little too easily, as we asked Beth last in the initial recording. Hairpins are, the whole point of hairpins is that they're in there pretty good, so you're not able to just pull them out willy-nilly like this.
It does seem like an item that would be at the store, given the wide-ranging, list of items we've seen at the store. Hairpins, hard no. Or maybe the shop just wasn't open. Weird.
The hairpins are over on the dog whistle baby crib aisle.
Something like what? Yeah, there's a baby. Yeah, I forgot about the baby crib. Exactly. That's weird.
Bo is very good at picking out the hairpins, despite the fact that this is really an invasion of personal space.
How many do they need?
I think he gave him 5.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I don't know.
So 5 is good to hold together. Oh, I don't know.
My assumption is they had some hairpins. My assumption is they had some hairpins. They just didn't have all the hairpins.
Oh, I think the hairpins was like a oh crap, solution to the issue. Because if it says they're made of that many matchsticks, nobody said anything about a hairpin. I think this is an attempt to throw it back together.
Gotcha. So, in the initial non-broken, No hairpin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, well,
This whole storyline is filler. So Bo has gotten the hairpins. He hands them off to Sam. Sam goes back to fix the boat model. Bo's going to hang out and dance for a while. Everybody seems happy. Julie showed up in the middle of this to see what the hell was going on and was then just amazed by the dancing hairpins stealing. So
she's got enough on her plate. She's just mind her own.
Jeff is telling his mom how great Diana is and how she reminds her of her. Shockingly, Diana is telling Hank how great Jeff is and how he reminds her of him. It's the same. It's a mirror episode, basically. So,
yeah.
Julie, having finally ditched that goddamn kid, walks out on the deck behind Diana and Hank talking, and she spots old Walter Barish.
Oh, there he is.
Man, there ain't a lot of time to mess around. She is tongue deep into Walter Barish.
No kidding. Jeez.
She's like, we got to stop running into each other like that. And then she runs into him like that. So good for you, Julie.
Oh.
This was really the only time he showed any interest in her at all.
Well, yeah, he's been drinking since 5. Anyone comes up and jams your tongue in your mouth on a cruise, they're gonna be somewhat interested.
You know what they call that? They call that a Pirate's Cove hookup right there.
No kidding, man.
Arr.
That is, your ship has been boarded. Arr. And R is the sound of Julie's tongue drilling into his mouth.
Rolling into your molars.
Jeez, Julie.
All right, Act 3, it's breakfast time the next morning. Julie is up early to have a breakfast date with Bobby. Julie points out she never gets up this early for anybody, so 8 o'clock, very early. So I'm assuming that wasn't a late night for old
She's at
Jules.
Work. What do you mean you don't get up early? You're at work.
Oh, you don't know what her shift is.
You know? Get up around noon.
Bobby tells Julie that he was dreaming of her last night, which of course is very creepy. And then Bobby asks if she wants to play backgammon, the sexiest game that you can play when you're young and in love. So Julie says that she doesn't get up at 8, as I said, and she also is a real expert at backgammon. Apparently, you can't be a cruise director without being an expert at backgammon.
Wait, because it's an older man game. I play it. No wonder Julie's good at it. I must learn this.
That is true.
Crosswords.
That's true.
And puddings. I'm fluent in tapioca pudding. All the puddings.
She's got a sack of Werther's Original.
And powder. Like tons of powder.
Horse track race form.
She has a box of alarm clocks with the alarm all set at 5 a.m. If she's ready to go, let's go. I'm ready to move in.
Oh, God. Jeff and Diana are feeding each other fruit on the deck. And after seeing that and that young love, Hank and Monica finally call a truce.
Oh, great.
And take a seat next to each other. I guess we're all done there.
It's all wrapped up.
Julie has tracked down Paul Burke again. He is on the deck in his finest striped polo shirt.
And he's not drunk now, so he's ready to be real with Julie. Yeah.
Yep. Julie's flirting like hell, and Walter isn't exactly giving much back to her. Luckily, Steubing shows up, and so Julie's like, "Have I introduced you to the captain?" Paul's about as impressed with the captain as the rest of the
shits about the captain. Like, lady, come on, leave me alone.
Steubing actually is there for a reason, though, believe it or not. He wanted to talk to Julie about Bobby and kind of let her know that he's got a little bit of a schoolboy crush on her. Julie tries to blow it off, but Steubing, who has been destroyed by women since the day he was born, implores her to take it easy on him because sometimes there's this little 7th grader who doesn't want to hear that they've been dismissed. So
he was like, somewhere out there's a little chubby seventh grader wearing long shorts and high socks. Steubing, were you that chubby little? I don't want to talk about it.
Every romantic interlude in Meryl Stubing's life has ended terribly.
Nothing goes. Yeah, everything is this weird, dramatic.
Like, he should be the damaged one. They portray Julie as the damaged one sometimes, but he should be the damaged one.
He comes across pretty,
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is, what a low-level thing for a captain of a ship to even be on your radar. Like, oh, that's cute. And you just keep walking. It's not like he goes to pack and he goes, God, I must say something to Miss McCoy about this 13-year-old. And the fact that, like, what else do you have going on in that simple head of yours?
Here's my defense.
Yeah.
Here is my defense. It is the son of the director of the line. I think that is...
You know what?
That's the logic.
That's a great
It is something that would, right? So, yeah. I agree with you normally, but I think that's the catch-all, I think, for some of this.
Yeah, but I think, in sort of in the spirit of red skeleton, I almost said red buttons. Red buttons.
No, it is red buttons. Yeah,
red buttons. It's the same thing where I almost think his expectations are to be like, don't let him down hard, without saying it, because he works. He's the son of, so it's almost like he wants it to, just deal with it. Don't extinguish it. But just deal with it.
Yeah. I think he's looking out for him.
What's the right thing to do? Is the right thing to do? What's the right advice to give Julie here?
Honestly, the right thing to do, if the guy wasn't the director of the line, the right thing to do would have been for Stubing to squash that at the table.
Yeah, for him to handle it like a leader. Yeah.
Right. Because as we will get to, there isn't a lot of gray area here, right? You don't need a lot of nuance. He's a 13-year-old boy. This is just a stupid crush, and that's the end of it. And you're 13, and we're done having this conversation. So
just a weird way for him to handle it.
Back in the matchstick cabin, it looks like Bo and Sam have fixed the model. Everything's great.
Yes.
So they're going to try and move the model somewhere that Stubing will never find it. That, of course, is the barbershop.
It's so mean. It's so mean.
Gopher is going to shepherd this thing with them. He's like, no mistakes this time. But wouldn't you know it? Gopher gets a page to go to the bridge at the exact same time.
What are the odds, man? What are
unbelievable.
The odds?
So it's up to Bo and Sam to make it there. But I mean, I'm sure it's fine, right?
It'll be all right.
They'll definitely make it. We're already in Act 3. Like, I assume the entire Act 4 is just Stubing talking about how great this model is. So
on and on and on and on about who needs a watch when you have a model. Yeah.
All right. Shuffleboard. So this is the only scene worth talking about in the family storyline. Jeff and Diana are playing shuffleboard.
That's right.
And they're just having casual conversation about their parents again. They do talk about their parents a lot.
That's all they freaking talk about is just.
Yeah. Line, the twist, of course, is that Jeff actually agrees a lot more with Hank. And Diana agrees a lot more with Monica.
Didn't see.
And so it starts off just as kind of like the issue itself and that kind of thing. But then it starts to get a little personal.
Gets raw.
Diana says that Jeff is someone to the right of Genghis Khan. Which, even in 1979, that probably hurts.
Talk about overstepping. Like, are you talking about John Wayne as Genghis Khan? Or are you talking about Genghis Khan as Genghis Khan? I just want to... Yeah. I don't know how you'd react to something like that. Yeah.
Well, I know how Jeff would react to this is you would go 10 times further. Because Genghis Khan is, he's not actually Genghis Khan like people, but Jeff calls her someone who is blind, deaf, and pretty dumb. So.
Jeff is like, oh, call me Genghis Khan, will you? Well, guess what? Yeah? You're dumb.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. In my younger, dumber days, I definitely was someone who enjoyed an argument, and I probably had a tendency to go from 3 to 8 pretty fast. Jeff goes from 3 to about 38 here, so this is like...
great. I was sort of shocked. I thought the Genghis Khan line was just dumb, but then when he said that, I was just like, well, hey, don't, bring a gun to a gunfight. That's all I can say. Like, what are you doing? You came unprepared, ma'am.
The fact that these two end up bouncing back from this so quickly is really more a comment on the Love Boat not being a serious boat. So
yeah, you can't drop something like that. They haven't seen each other in forever. It's day 2 maybe.
Yeah,
and you're like, you're stupid. You're just laying into it,
right?
Oh,
like it, and listen, like
thoughtful,
sometimes people probably overreact to stuff like that, but it's like if you're saying this in day 2,
you imagine in year
you went to that. That's deep down in there, Jeff. So unless he's like really a competitive shuffleboard player, I guess that's the other possibility. Sorry, I get the shuffleboard quail in my hand, and I go, no,
don't make me put this back in my quiver and walk away, Jeff.
Hank and Monica were talking about how great their kids getting together was, and then they walk right into that. So that's the. I was like, what? So
now they get along, and then these other two don't get along.
Oh my goodness!
Flip-flopped.
Bo and Sam get off the regular elevator with their long party sub.
Sausage King elevator. We agree?
I think so. It was definitely.
I couldn't tell.
You know what, though? Now that we think about it, no, I think it's the Jacqueline Smith elevator that's right in the lobby. So
that makes sense.
Regardless, there's freight elevators on this boat. Find one.
Yeah, I don't know why you would, if you're trying to keep it a secret.
Right. And just for more room.
Stairs? How about you take
like, what if somebody else was on the elevator? Anyway, they start to head to the barber shop, but goddamn, Stubing is calling out our boy Anderson.
Somebody's throwing voices again in the hallway.
Yeah. So these two, Bo and Sam, kind of crouch down carefully because they don't want to be seen. We join the Anderson-Stubing conversation already in progress, so we don't really know what Stubing called him over for. They couldn't give us anything. They couldn't give us like
jackets. Where are those missing jackets, Anderson?
Yeah, I got a complaint.
Yeah,
I got a complaint.
That's what it is. They go right to him too.
This man's suit was returned to him smelling like pepper spray.
That's funny. That's funny.
At the end of this exchange, Anderson turns the tables on Stubing and pops a 2-finger salute right at him.
That's like Stubing up your nose with a rubber hose kind of thing back to you.
It's like beating somebody with their finisher. It's just like
you don't. You better. Yeah, don't do that. So is Anderson a heel for doing that? Is that a heel move by Anderson?
Anderson's a heel. Yeah,
he's a heel. I wonder if his brother Arn is going to show up next.
Double A.
Oh, double A showing
Anderson
up.
Stewart.
Just hitting spine breakers in the Lido deck.
Stubing starts to head off to the deck, and Bo and Sam start to uncrouch. But then Stubing forgot something, probably an eclair that he had somewhere on the table. And they drop back and then start to scurry back into the elevator. And Mike, you will never guess what happens.
What happens?
The elevator doors close, splitting the ship in two, much like the story of Abraham and the baby.
Wait, you're telling me? Here we go again.
Both times.
Imagine if they just repeat the whole thing again. We got hairpins.
8 more times. The both times the ship was destroyed, they had the audio sweetening of the crowd reaction, which was like,
good.
Like it was an infomercial where they revealed a spill or something.
It was Jim Neighbors didn't even get that when he was revealed as the jewel thief.
Yeah,
come on.
I feel like you don't do that when you don't have to. All right, it's time for Julie to dump Bobby. She's trying, as we said, much too hard to make this logical. Like, really, it should have just been like, you're 13. I'm an adult. Right, you have a crush. You'll get over it. End of it.
It's very easy.
Bobby at one point says that we could go away together. And that's finally when Julie kind of snaps out of it. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
She was like, but where? Where were you thinking?
Is it Alaska? Because I got to go there anyway. I might have somebody for you too, Bobby.
Yeah.
That's what she should have done.
That's what she could. let's go to Juneau. Let's go to Juneau for the weekend.
Oh, Julie.
It would have worked. Darn
it. She hits him right in the eyes with the old, we can still be friends, we can be pen pals, which is just like, even at 13, Bobby knows that is just
the worst.
That is the friend zone to the extreme. So
I've heard every friend zone. We're too good of friends. It would ruin the friendship.
I think if you like a brother.
Like that. Like, we're just so close. Ew.
You're 61 years old.
I've hold them. Why don't you go to the gym? You're a large man. Why don't you take care of yourself, friend? It's just, I've heard them all. Really? Another Mountain Dew fatty? I've heard them all, but...
You're a commandant in Russia. This will never work.
Commandant. This won't work. You drink way too much vodka. I can't deal with it. You've been divorced 5 times. Yeah.
You're a supermodel and I keep having daydreams. So.
Yeah, please disregard the giant 6 foot by 6 foot print on my wall.
You wore rhinoplasty scar bandages for the last 3 weeks.
Jesus. All right. All right.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. For Jeff and Diana, they're being moody. Yeah. Hank and Monica end up calling off their truce to kind of defend their kids. What a twist. What a plot twist.
What a twist. Didn't see that coming. Did who directed this? Was this an M. Night Shyamalan kind of thing? Or what's going on here? All these twists and turns. Bobby's dead, but nobody else is dead. The old man's dead.
By the way, Baron Jolson wrote one of these.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter which one it was.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. This did them.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. They're
what a disappointing season for Baron Jolson. Next week I think is their last episode, so they got one more shot.
The first season they were boom, 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 and they were really sort of defining what the show could be, and then everything they've done this season has just been ugh. And they were the continuity guys that they brought in.
Well, the continuity's been better, at least. They're too focused on the continuity, not the quality. Next year they need to be quality editors.
Yeah, more with the funny guys. Come on.
All right. Back to the model. The party's in 30 minutes. The ship is broken. There's nothing we can do. Gopher implores Bo and Sam to fix it, but Doc is like, Gopher, it's over. Like, this is Doc calling a patient, basically. He's like, he's dead, Burl.
I can't hear the heartbeat. Did you check twice? There's no point. Call it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. After they all leave, kind of glum, Bo's like, I got an idea how we can fix this. And Sam's like, but we only got 30 minutes. And he's like, hey, I got a plan.
I'm the brains of this operation, clearly.
Yeah. And we go to,
all right.
We go to commercial. All right. Hank and Jeff roll into the bar to get a brandy. Monica and Diana are at a different table. And, like this entire storyline has been, they're kind of like, talking about each other and comparing each other and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's no point. Eventually, Jeff and Diana start doing a little cute kind of like wave to each other. You come here, I'll go there, whatever. This somehow clears up being called dumb. So
this is better. Well, they all start dancing together. I was just playing, girl. You're not that dumb.
No, you're not that dumb, and you're not a terrorizing world dictator. So.
Yeah, I apologize if you were offended.
Sorry, I just have a real thing about Genghis Khan. It just trips my wires.
I'm 1/16th Mongolian. All right.
Oh God, I think that's it for that.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's time for the Merrill Stubing 5th anniversary party.
Oh boy.
Anderson gets his 3rd speaking spot of the episode.
Dude.
He has been nominated to gift the gift from all the stewards, and it is some sort of boat. Stubing throws this boat on top of the pile of other boat-related gifts that he's gotten.
He's done with this garbage. That's so funny.
He is a sad boy. He is such a sad boy. If I get one more gift shaped like a ship. So,
you know what he's like in this episode? He's like that kid that wanted Pee Wee Herman's bike, the one that the kid in the bathtub. That's what he is. Ugh.
Bo and Sam are basically taking half of the ship and putting that together, which will be a lot easier to carry. Kind of back to my point. That's how they should have brought it onto the ship. But Sam's got one last piece to make it all work, and with the hands of a safecracker, he goes in there and puts the last piece together. We're all good. And it's small, so it's easy to carry. So these guys are off to Stubing's cabin. At the cabin, this week's chef presents a cake shaped like a ship. Stubing protests, but we all know.
You know he's eating that thing.
This is the best gift he got all week.
Come
it's
on.
the best gift he got all week.
Pastries and icings. Come on.
Party over. Please leave.
Yeah, please leave now, or the lights go out. Like in a wrestling show, surprise, they come out and all the cake's gone. He's just got ice.
Stormtroopers come in and throw everybody out. Like,
get away, get away. Oh, it'd be great.
So in the afterglow of the cake, Bo and Sam show up with the tiny gift. Classic Stubing. Who are these people? Like, he's just like
unbelievable.
I thought you knew everybody on the ship, Meryl.
He wouldn't even, he wouldn't say that. He's so focused on his gift, he could care less who's on the ship. It's all about that gift. You know that.
So Stubing gets the little tiny boat, but before he can bitch about it being a boat-shaped gift again, he hears ticking. And what happened when Sam was putting in that last piece? His watch got caught on one of the boat things, maybe one of the hairpins. The irony. And with that, Stubing thinks he's getting a watch because he hears the ticking, not thinking it might be a bomb.
Not a bomb. Yeah.
So it could really be a bomb. So Stubing, with all his grace and dignity, just tears apart the ship model, thinking it was like a box, like a gift box. Right. Or that it's like a box of Dunkin' Donuts munchkins. He just tears it apart, getting to the inside.
Donut holes.
Turns out it's Sam's watch that Stubing thinks is his watch. And of course, he's been begging for a watch this whole episode. And he is so excited. It's like the end of Citizen Kane. He's so excited.
And also, we do have on the project shop, we do have a Matchbox boat filled with jelly holes or jelly donut holes.
First of all, I would buy that. Do we have a discount for being part of the show?
We got that. I hope we can get that. I want 3 of those. Yeah.
Do I have an employee discount from the merch shop? Does that
awesome.
count? So.
I want those.
So yeah, the day is saved basically because Stubing got his watch. Bo and Sam, I guess, will now be free to leave their indentured servitude and go home.
That's funny.
Speaking of getting sent home, Julie and Paul Burke are walking on the deck, and Julie's talking about how she feels bad for Bobby.
She don't even know. This poor son of a bitch doesn't even know what's about to happen.
Walter's like, "You want to feel bad, Toots?
I'll show you how. Leave your tongue in your mouth, Julie." Yeah.
Like I said, this is Joe Pesci walking into the hall. This is over for you, nothing. Julie. She didn't see it. So Paul asks how old, because I think the hook is Julie basically says no matter how old you are, it always hurts to get, rejected.
Sure.
And then Walter's like, "Well, how old are you, Julie?" And Julie, give her credit, she caught it then. Because she is very offended when she has to answer how old she is. And this takes me to another thing that we had talked about throughout the couple years here. Julie says she's 25. So this is the official first age we've gotten of one of the crew members. I think we had always worked that her, Gopher, and Isaac were about 28. So they have her a little younger than we thought.
That's fine. That makes sense. That makes sense, though. I get that.
So, and she is probably the newest one on the boat. So, but what it really does is just emphasize how young she was when Stanfield was being a jerk to her.
Yeah.
But and maybe explains some of her immaturity when it comes to some of these things. So
that's true. I think the 25 age really works.
Yeah. So Julie kind of sees where this is going. Paul Burke, Walter follows up with the fact that he's got 3 kids around that age, 28, 26, and 24. And then he had been married for 3 years when he was 25. Mm-hmm. Julie tries to protest, but it's over, baby.
Hit the bricks.
Walter sends her packing.
Get out of here. Get out of here. He's just yelling, get, just pointing away, get.
So Julie goes to sit right by the sad, tiny pool, but Bobby's there.
Of course he is.
And the two of them kind of give each other a shoulder to cry on, and then they dance the night away. Great.
It's good.
I mean, I guess it's better than whatever happened with the priest, but still.
I just think it's funny that the 13-year-old didn't cry, but the 25-year-old did cry.
Yeah. She didn't see it coming. She did not see it coming.
I don't know how.
Class act, though, by that Walter Barish, because you could just easily sneak off the boat.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I bet you she's like Spider-Man on those exits when somebody's about. She's just APB out on. No way.
All right. Speaking of exiting, let's get out of here. Jeff and Diana start Act 5, leaving the boat as a happy couple. Hank and Monica are making plans for their next meeting, but twist, it's not a Monday day meeting; it's a Monday night meeting.
What? What are they getting together to watch Raw? What are they?
Yep. 1979 Raw.
79. It's Chiefs Jay Strongbow versus.
I love the fights.
It'd be awesome. A lot of Billy Graham.
Bobby and Julie exchange addresses so they can be pen pals, which definitely is something that would not be on TV in 1979. A 13-year-old and a 25-year-old exchanging information like that.
What could they have to talk about? What common ground could they have?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Choate. Lemonade.
Lemonade, maybe.
I guess they could talk about the line, the director of the line. I mean, that's probably it's not a bad connection for Julie to make. You know,
no,
make her career path even better.
Until Bobby's dad is like, wait a minute, one of my 25-year-old cruise directors is your pen pal?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a fun conversation to have with Julie as an employer.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Bobby leaves. Walter's right behind to say his goodbyes to Julie. Julie, I don't know if this makes her feel better or not. She's like, I'm glad to meet you, friend. Come on, man. Julie, it's okay to not like somebody. You know what, Julie? It's okay to not like somebody who leaves the boat. It's the same thing with the stupid pizza bet guys. Like, it's okay to just be like, you know what? We had a smooch. You dumped me right in front of a child. So,
well, plus with her, I would think that there's plenty of opportunity. If you really don't want to see somebody again, there's a way to do that. And she probably knows how to do that pretty easily, but she wants to get that last crazy barb in for all these people.
Which
what? You bet on me for pizza? What?
Well,
she's crazy.
We also had the theory that she murdered those guys later.
Yes, we never saw those guys again. There is no pizza place nearby.
Bo and Sam are saying their goodbyes to the crew. They're just hilarious. And we find out more about the watch where looks like Bo had gotten it for Sam from a cereal box promotion. Stu being not sharp enough to tell the difference between a real watch and a candy watch. So Julie and Isaac and Doc and Gopher are kind of around Stubing as he's talking about the watch. Gopher says it's French. Stubing's an idiot. Bo and Sam, this is where I really thought it was a pilot because they're like, they start to walk out and like, call us again. We go anywhere, we do anything, and they leave. And it almost felt like that would be the first scene of the sitcom that comes on next season.
They're going to see him in Juneau or something like another quick. What do a couple of repair guys do in Juneau, Alaska?
Oh my goodness. We're Bo and Sam. We go out anywhere. We'll do whatever you need.
Just a bunch of different shots, like Mr. Belvedere, like of them all over the world breaking matchsticks. Yeah.
All right, that's it. Show's over.
Yeah, that's it. Wow.
Totals and a recap. So we had this discussion on the initial recording, and I don't think anything has changed.
No.
We are just in a litany of bad episodes right now. This one is just as bad as 2 or 3 other ones that we've kind of come across here. This is going to be a very long part of the stubbies. I think we're going to have to figure out what the worst one is. I hope we don't have any more nominees. Like, we have 3 episodes left this season before the stubbies. I just need the next 3 episodes to not be discussed in this section of the show.
Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, the best thing about this episode is that it wasn't 90 minutes. I think is what I took away from this. Like, thank
you know what?
God.
If this had been 90 minutes, you guys would have gotten the bad audio.
Yeah, you would have just had to deal with crash. That's awful. Ugh.
Yeah, but it was redundant. The family's storyline, nothing happened. The Bo and Sam thing as a third storyline in maybe an episode that had more serious overtones would have been fine.
It would have been a good throwaway.
It basically got a time.
Yeah, it did. Just shows you there was no meat on this at all. It's just nothing on this episode.
And I'll say this. I would say it was the least interesting Julie tries to date a guy episode, except maybe the Robert Urich one, which wasn't really about that.
Well, there was more to it. And there were more like plot lines than just.
But this wasn't as good as Stanfield. This wasn't as good as Potsy. This wasn't as good as Jack Chenault. You know, it's like by nowhere close. So
no, I agree. Yeah. This is pretty disappointing.
Captain of the week.
I had to go Sam and Bo. Again, I love the duos. Pat Morita was on here. I love.
Yeah.
We have the couple guys. Out of everything, I didn't know what else to pick.
Yeah.
They brought me some entertainment value.
I agree. And it was different. It was different in that, like I said, a lot. This did feel like a sitcom thing. So that is different. They fleshed him out. I mean, they had like a real thing.
Was it the best storyline out of the 3? If you had to rank them?
You know what? I'm going to say storyline, no, but, well, okay. Written, no. Acting and all total, probably.
What came out?
So, like, I actually think the Julie one was better with better execution.
Yeah, I agree.
But that wasn't there. So,
right.
But I agree with you.
What it was, yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, those guys definitely in the mix for best duo. Just because, I mean, think about it. That could have been death. Like, if those 2 guys weren't actually good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that could have been really bad. I agree with you on Bo and Sam. I'm going to give a slight hat tip to the first half, Jeff and Diana. I actually was really encouraged. I thought they had great chemistry in that first scene.
I thought
it just
so too.
Felt, I was very excited, but then the storyline
gave up on it. Like they had a good thing going, and they went,
Like I bet you we could think of 10 storylines we've seen with couples that those guys would have been better at. Like those 2, just a 100%. Straight up couple story. So
100%. I totally agree with that.
And I'll say this, it's encouraging. Not that we thought Mark Shera was bad, but we certainly didn't think he was anything in the Monty Hall one. It's encouraging that you have somebody come back and be this much
something
better.
More. Yeah, I agree.
Right. Yeah.
I agree.
So it gives me hope for when we see guys who are underused or underperform. So this could be anybody. Walk the plank.
Again, on this one, I kept it basic. To me, it was Steubing in his 5th anniversary expectations. I thought that was completely. I don't know why he thought he deserved a watch after being somewhere for 5 years. It's just.
It really is because, like, well, it's funny. In a bad episode, there's not a lot of like villainy, right? Like even Julie, a little misguided, really no harm, no foul, and same thing for Walter like, and Bobby.
There's no all like bad motives or anything.
No,
like that,
no. But Steubing, to your point, putting the pressure on about gifting up, being very like unappreciative of the gifts that he did get. Yeah, not a great stewing episode.
No.
Not a great episode for really anybody, including us, who had to do it twice.
There was no bright light shined on anyone through this episode.
No. But that is totals and a recap for this week.
Hey, let me check the old mailbag, Mike. If I'm not mistaken, we do have an email.
Yeah, I will not feign surprise this week.
We got an email. Ahoy. Hello, and a hearty two-finger salute to my favorite Love Boat podcasters. I will summarize. She watched a lot of Love Boat reruns, discovered about 8 years ago, delighted to find her podcast about it a year ago. I adore the Stubbies. Can't wait for season 2 awards. I don't blame you. It's pretty exciting. The Stubbies coming up.
About two months. We're 2 months away, I think. So
it is. Your snarky commentary keeps me laughing all day as I work as a delivery driver. And let me just say, she goes on to say she's going on a cruise. And she has expectations of the cruise. And she drops so many show references. And when I say show, I mean podcast references from both seasons. It is quite impressive.
I was very flattered that all those references, which were some deep cuts in there, I was very impressed.
Deep cuts. Thank you, Kim, for listening. Bon voyage to me from Kim. Well, thank you, Kim. You can email us at theloveboatproject@gmail.com. Mike, whether you're cheering from the stands or tuning in from home, this is the podcast you need. So grab your bat, your cap, and your Phillies pride, crack open a beer, and enjoy a weekly Phillies happy hour with Chris Jones, Justin Clue, and our very own Mike Robertson. Check out Absolutely Hammered on the Hitting Season Patreon. Also, you can catch me on SiriusXM's Fish Radio on a show called Crowd Control. And you can find us everywhere and anywhere you find your audio podcast. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Podchaser, Player FM, and Deezer, my favorite.
Deezer.
Please hit that subscription button, leave a review. You can also check out our video podcast on YouTube. Again, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Look for weekly reels and updates. Next episode, Mike. Stubing is potentially murdered. How's that for a cliffhanger?
I got one suspect, and I'm looking right at him.
Yeah. It wasn't me. It was Peter Lawford. Yeah.
I think of you. In our group, I think of you as the Peter Lawford. So.
Well, that's good. That's good. Peter Lawford was what did he do? Yeah, he's that guy in the group. Yeah. What does he do?
How's he fit in this mix?
Is he a song and dance man? No, I really don't know how he fits. He's just kind of
he's been British.
Here. Yeah, he's got tenure somehow. Also, we get a second helping of Sonny Bono on the boat.
So that puts him right into the mix for a stubby.
Yes, he does.
A very wide open category this year, I would say, is returning guest. So
yeah.
Pressure's on, Mr. Bono.
It probably won't be Leslie Nielsen. I'll say that.
Well, it can't be.
No, I'm saying, but like coming back this year versus.
Yeah.
It's not like he, was a whirlwind.
As I am filling out my ballot, I believe we currently have 2 people that are in that category: the radio room person and Juliet Mills. So a lot of room. Which is funny because we criticized it so much last year, and now I'm like, I wouldn't mind if they brought some more people back in the same season.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. Or bring back the people, or maybe give somebody another shot that perhaps didn't have a lot to go with.
Like here's what you do, right? 10 episode gap. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you can do 2 in a season. It's funny. So. We did criticize it, but I do feel like I miss it a little bit.
Well, because I keep thinking, like, as long as this show goes, you'd think that. I mean, how deep is the pool? Meaning, there's people like potential people, but there's also like which people would actually do the show,
or so which people would actually do the show well.
Right.
That's the other thing too, right?
Or if it didn't go well, who would come back?
Because I do feel like, and I know we both do versions of this, when I kind of have the cast list and I kind of see who's back for more episodes, I do feel like we've had a lot of like only appearance this season, or last appearance. Like I know your boy Larry Storch is done. You know, it's like, so.
I think I'll be interested to see in season 3 if that continues,
how that
or
goes.
do we, because as more time goes, do we just sort of fold?
Well, the other thing is too, and we'll probably talk about this more towards the end of the season, is will next season be more linear, and will that impact the casting too? Because this season, especially the first half, was so choppy that who knows what the intention was and who, you know, so I'll be curious to see what it looks like.
Since the Vicky episode, it's sort of been, and we know how meaningful that episode was in the context of what's going to happen next year, and the Alaska one.
We had
those are the two hooks that they had, right. And that's about it.
And really, after the Vicky one, it pretty much stayed on course, except there was that one, the Karen Maynard one, actually, where it was clearly shot in season 1. Like it was so far out of timeline, it was embarrassing. But these are the kind of problems we'll solve towards the last few episodes. We only have 3 episodes left before the Stubbies. The Stubbies, I believe, are on Cinco de Mayo this year.
Another interesting fact is this episode comes out on the same date that the episode was released in 1979. This will come out.
Oh my God, that's right. March 10th. How about that? 46 years to the day.
How about that?
What a waste.
What a waste.
What a waste of a cool stat.
I don't even think they make a cake for that. There's no, I can't call the bakery and go, do you have like something standard for 46th anniversary?
I actually got you a matchstick model of this episode.
I got you some hairpins. It's a very gift of the Magi.
All right. We spent way too much time talking about this episode. This is like 5 hours that we've spent.
It's the longest episode we've ever done.
But is it seriously?
No, it's not. I'm just kidding. It's just like an episode of Seinfeld. It just keeps going.
Just keeps going and going and going.
It's about nothing at this point.
That'll do it for this week. Next week, murder.
But hopefully.
Thanks everybody for listening. I did want to point out we have had our 3 highest download months in a row: December, January, and February. So we really do appreciate everyone listening, commenting, being involved, sending in emails, sending in comments. It's we really appreciate it. We certainly didn't know if anyone would ever listen to this when we started, and we know that you are from across the globe. So we do appreciate it. I just started out as a one-time guest that just never got to leave, much like Bo and Sam. So
there you go. See?
I'm not even licensed to work outside the United States.
We're in international water, though, so it's kind of a...
Anyway, we will see you back here for episode 48. Until then, thank you, Mike. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.